speaking for myself, like 75% of the time I hated the way I looked. Hey guys, it's Kamrin and welcome back to my channel. As you can tell by the title of this video, this is a pretty personal, I guess like a little bit of a triggering topic, I would say. Disclaimer and a warning: if you've struggled with body dysmorphia or any kind of body image issues or any kind of eating disorder and you feel that you are easily triggered by certain things, I would rather you not watch. I don't want to have a video that's gonna be detrimental for somebody. This is just going to be my discussion about something that I have currently been struggling with. Previously, I have struggled with body dysmorphia. I actually even had a eating disorder, so I am pretty much prone to get into this kind of mindset. I kind of just wanted to share my story with you guys, especially as somebody that's in the public eye as a fitness inspiration. Just like a little bit of a rant, because I consider you guys my friends and it's nice to be able to share it with you guys. So yeah, we're just gonna have a girl talk like this. So if you guys notice that I'm a little uncomfortable talking about this, just that's why I'm uncomfortable, because I'm a little uncomfortable talking about this. It is kind of giving me a little anxiety while I'm talking about this right now, so if I seem a little off, it's because of that day. So we're gonna start from the beginning. Most of you guys know I started my fitness journey about 2 years ago. Like I said before, I did previously deal with a eating disorder kind of around 8th to 9th grade. It was pretty much onset by a guy continuously telling me that I was fat and I needed to lose weight. It was somebody that I had a crush on, so it impacted me in a really strong way. Like, I would starve myself and then I would binge eat, trying all of these crazy like diet stuff, and I was obsessed with thigh gaps, and I was on Tumblr looking up thinspo. No matter what, I'm not going to be super thin. I have an endomorph body type, so I wanted so badly to be thin. It was just like my obsession. Kind of got out of it around like 10th grade, and I was pretty much in an okay spot. I wasn't working out or anything. I just, you know, I was living a normal teenage life, which is what a normal teenager should be doing, not worrying about how they eat or how they look. Around my like senior year of high school, I started getting into fitness because there was a girl at my school that really motivated me. Her name is Ania. I will have her Instagram down in the description box down below. I was also really into Katya, Elise Henry. These were like really big motivators for me. In my senior year of high school, I was actually dropped down to the smallest size I'd ever been. I was on a vegan diet. I wasn't eating properly as a vegan. I was basically just like not eating at all. It wasn't because I was like struggling with an eating disorder. I can say that 1000% sure. It was just that I was like super lazy and like did not want to cook anything, and basically my diet just consisted of like rice and beans because I was just too lazy and I didn't want to make stuff, and it's a lot harder to eat as a vegan than it is to eat as like somebody that consumes, you know, the norm of what everybody else consumes. I'd say I was about a size like 2 to 4. I could fit in a 2 to 4, but no, even back then, even as thin as I was, I still did not appear as slim as other people just because of my body type. I have wide hips. I carry most of my weight in my thighs. This was, I feel like, for me, when I started to notice that the curvy body type was really in. I started weight training. It was a really great experience for me. I loved the feeling I had. I loved the results I started to get. However, the part that I like never spoke about online is just how hard it was for me, and I feel like any other girl, looking in the mirror and being like, I don't feel like my butt is big enough. I don't feel like my thighs are big enough. I was really patient with my results. The reason why I struggled so much with not being fully content with my body in terms of what was being shaped with weight training is that I'm very quad dominant. My glutes don't grow a lot, my quads grow more, so it lessens the appearance of my glutes. I feel like I was often super discouraged because it just looked like my butt was like disappearing into my thighs. You know, I didn't have the Katya booty, and I was like obsessed with that. I was also obsessed with a butt fold. A lot of people don't know what I'm talking about when I say a butt fold. Butt fold is that little like crease thing that gives girls that little like booty crease. I don't have one of those, so it doesn't make my butt look as nice as it should. Not as it should, I shouldn't say that. It doesn't make my butt like look as perky. I spent a lot of my time obsessed with the fact that I felt like I didn't look thick enough. I was mad that my waist could not get small enough, or that my proportions didn't look drastic enough. I always felt like I had to eat more, I had to do more, I had to waist train more, I had to lift more, and it was never enough for me. Obviously, I would post things on my social medias about like, oh, I'm so happy with my body and I'm proud, but I think any girl knows that there are going to be certain time periods where you feel like you are the baddest bitch out there. But I feel like speaking for myself, like 75% of the time I hated the way I looked. Especially with going to work, one of the companies that I primarily worked with, I felt like it was just constantly being shoved down my throat, like, you need to get thicker. They weren't saying it in a mean way. Certain comments like, oh yeah, it would be so much better if you were thicker, like I would love for you to put on like another 10 pounds, which is really great opposed to how it used to be with like modeling and stuff. Everybody used to be like, oh, get skinnier. But I felt like I was never going to complete this idea of like actually being, you know, the super curvy, inspirational, fit person. And even though like people were telling me like, oh, I would kill to have your body, I just was not happy with myself. And the other part of it was like when I would go to do modeling for boutiques and stuff, they were telling me to get thicker. And then when I was going to shoot for photographers, they were telling me, oh, you need to lose muscle, you've got to get thinner because you're already short and you have short legs and you look really tiny because your legs are so big. I'm going one place and they're telling me that I'm not thick enough, my legs are not big enough, my ass is not big enough. And then I'm going to another place and they're telling me that I'm not thin enough, my legs are too big. And it was like, what the hell is going on? Like, I can't make anybody happy. I at that point decided that I wanted to take a bigger step in my career with modeling. The photographers that I was talking to were all like, yeah, this body type that you have going is not gonna work for you outside of boutique modeling. And boutique modeling makes a lot of money. It was not even about wanting to make more money for me. It was just that I didn't want to be solely in that genre of modeling for the rest of my life, because it is a very like sexualized modeling. Like literally everything is about look curvy, pop your ass out more, move your boobs up more. Like it's super sexualized and there's like very little modeling in it. It's just all about like how curvy do you look. Even though I know in e-commerce modeling there still will be that, but it's very little that you can like over sexualize. Like you can sexualize any woman, but it's not as like likely to be sexualized if you're a little bit on the slimmer side and not everything is about your boobs and your ass. I finally made the decision that I wanted to focus more so on that, and a photographer was like, well, if you really want to get there, you're gonna have to thin out. I was like, oh, that's not gonna be a big issue because I was super thin in high school. So I made the decision to stop weight training, start working on decreasing my muscle mass and slimming out. Now, there's nothing wrong with this. I think this is just where mentally I started going down a very bad path. I kind of relapsed. I will say, even though I wasn't happy sometimes with how I looked with weight training, I never had a point where I was like how I felt when I was on this other half of my fitness journey. I feel like I just kind of sometimes had days where I was like, oh, my stomach is not flat enough, or I wish I had a butt fold, or I wish like my legs were a little bit bigger. But it wasn't like a loathing self-hatred. Like it never got to that point. I went on a keto diet, which I have a whole video about how the keto diet actually ended up making me bloat up like crazy. On a fasted cardio diet. Sorry, my camera had died. Just like kind of figure out what I was saying. When I was working out, I would always have a really hard time keeping weight on. As soon as I would stop going to the gym for like a couple of days, I would lose an immense amount of weight, an immense amount of muscle. When I started this whole like losing the weight thing, I was like, oh, this is gonna be a freaking piece of cake. I gave myself like a 3-month time span, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to go from, I think I was 145 pounds when I began, which I know for my height is actually pretty heavy. I'm 5'4". I was really like, I had a lot of muscle mass. I also had a lot of fat. I was pretty curvy. I wasn't overweight or anything. I was in really good shape. I just naturally am a heavier petite person. I started out at 145 and I've wanted to get down to 118, and I got really obsessed with having a thigh gap. Naturally, I do have a thigh gap. Not a complete thigh gap, like right at the top it kind of touches, but sometimes when I would lose a little bit of weight, it would get to the point where my legs like didn't touch at all. Like it became like I was back in the mindset of what it was like when I was in 8th and 9th grade. It even got so bad where I would like take pictures and then I would like be obsessed with like editing my arms smaller, because I felt like my arms needed to be skinnier so that I would look thinner, so that agencies would want me because I looked skinny. I feel like because my mind shifted from wanting to look thick to wanting to look like these models, I just had an insane Like, it was just really hard on me, because when you think about that, it's two drastically different body types. So I got on this keto diet. I was doing intense fasted cardio in the mornings, and I dropped from 145 to the lowest weight I ever got to was like 123, and that was like pretty early on into it. I remember like sometimes even sitting on the toilet and my stomach would be squished together, and I would just be sitting there like purely disgusted in myself, because I'm like, oh my god, like I have stomach rolls. And then on top of it, I was like in such a disoriented area because I wanted to be super skinny, but I also wanted to have curves. You know, I wanted to have the Bella Hadid body, which Bella Hadid does not even have that body, because if you guys see unedited photos of her, she actually does not have that super tiny waist and, you know, super large hips. But I digress. And of course, because I had seen myself so long curvy, when I dropped from 145 to the 123, I lost my hips, I lost my butt, I lost everything. Because it happened so quickly, I had a shape that my mind, I was like, oh my god, I look like a box now. Like, maybe being skinny is not gonna look good on me, but I need to be skinny because I need an agency to want me. And you know, I'm 5'4", and I have curly hair, and I'm black, and I have a little bit of some messed up skin, and an agency is definitely not gonna want me if I have all of this wrong and I'm fat. And it was so stressful on me. I remember even sitting in my car sometimes after work and just like crying, especially because I was going into work with these boutiques and stuff, and they were like, girl, you look like you're dropping a lot of weight. And it would kind of make me happy for a little bit. I'm like, oh, you know, I'm getting skinny, but then they would look at me like, why are you dropping weight? Like, it's a bad thing. And then it was like, it was such a mental mind fuck, for the lack of words, because I could not figure out what I wanted. I even started to lose jobs because I was losing my shape. Am I going to really give up these jobs and this work that I have with this current curvy body type to try and chase a dream that I don't even know will happen because I'm small, and you know, I don't have the perfect symmetrical model face, and who says that being this size is gonna get me there? Like, I even talked about it on my Instagram briefly, and I was kind of sharing, you know, like my struggles with the whole issue, and that I was having a really hard time. And so many of you guys messaged me and were like, are you okay? And I didn't even realize it at that point, but I was literally in the midst of a really, really hard battle with body dysmorphia. I did not want to look at myself. I hated the way I looked. Everything, I always felt fat. I had cut out carbs and keto completely, so my stomach and my digestion and my body was completely out of whack. I was extremely bloated for 2 months, and my mind was all over the place because I was like looking like I was 5 months pregnant because I was so bloated from my lack of carbs, and which meant I had no fiber in my body. Like, I was not eating any carbs, so I had no fiber in my body, so I was not pooping. So I was like blowing up, super bloated. I was dropping a lot of weight, but I wanted to drop the weight, but I didn't like how I looked with the weight drop because I felt like I was starting to look, you know, like a block, and I didn't feel like it was good for me. And then I also had this stress of like, how am I supposed to change to this other side of fitness, which is the thin side of fitness, and I can't even really get into the thin side of fitness because the thin side of fitness, I feel like, and even now, I feel like it's hard to be successful on the thin side of fitness if you don't have abs, because what do people really want to learn from you if you don't have abs? You're just like, oh, well, you look just like me. Why am I going to take fitness tips from you? You don't have anything that I'm looking for. If I'm on the thick girl side of fitness, then, you know, I had to have big hips and big boobs and a tiny waist, and that's what people are going to watch me for because that's what they want to aim for. But if I want to be on the thin side of it, you know, I have to drop down and get super, super skinny and have abs because that's what people are going to want. They're going to want to see how I got my abs. And I was like, I don't fit into either one of those anymore. So where the hell am I going to go? And I'm like, you know, I sell waist trainers, I sell booty bands, you know, I do workout videos, and people are gonna look at me like, what the fuck is going on with you? Like, I had so much stress that I was literally breaking out everywhere, and that would just make me more stressed because I'm like, oh my god, an agency is never gonna want me. Like, I'm fat and I'm breaking out. My hair was breaking off because of diva curl. I was just in a complete circle of like hell, and it was my self-inflicted hell. Like, my boyfriend doesn't even know this because I haven't told him, but I didn't even want to be around my boyfriend because I'm like, how the freak can you even like me right now? Like, I don't even want you to touch me because I feel disgusting. Like, how can you like me? I look like this. I stopped weight training in December. It's April now. I feel like this really kicked in probably around January. I kind of just now like got back to a better place. I remember I came across this model and she wasn't even talking anything about anything that I was going on with, but she's a model and she's an in-between size model, which is very, very rare to see, and I will have her Instagram up here so you guys can follow her. And it was like a total enlightenment, you know. It just hit me that I was like, no matter what, I'm not going to be 5'9" and 125 pounds. And I felt like I was under such pressure because every time I would go to a job or something, somebody would say some snarky comment. I would go to one job and they would be like, you look really good, you're getting really thin, you know. Or then I would go to one job and they would be like, oh, can we put her in heels because her legs are too short, she looks kind of stubby like that, you know. And then my mind would be like, oh shit, I look stubby because my legs are big, so I need to lose more weight. Or I would go to another job and they would be like, can we clip her up because she looks too thin and she's getting swallowed up by that dress, we can't even see any shape on her. And then they would clip me up and somebody would be like, oh my god, you're really thin, huh? When I saw that girl's page, it kind of clicked to me that it was like, I'm 5'4". I have a curvier body type. I'm not going to be a size 2. I have short legs no matter how much Pilates I do or no matter how thin I get. Nothing is going to stretch my legs out to make me any taller. Maybe I'm not meant to be signed with an agency and doing all of these crazy things right now, but who knows, maybe in 3 or 4 or 5 years when I build up a following or something. I don't know. A lot of models these days are actually famous, like really big social media influencers, and that's why brands like them. They don't even give a freak about what they look like, they just want their followers. But I really don't care, like I just want to do it. So if you're gonna take me because of that, then that's fine. I can't push myself to be something that I'm not going to be. If I go and work out and I lift weights with my trainer and I come back the next day and my muscles are swollen and my legs touch together, I'm not going to spend the next 3 days hating myself because my legs touch together. And if I happen to eat a little bit more food and my stomach comes out as wide as my fucking hips and I just look like, you know, a little bit less, you know, Kim Kardashian, as we're all just like jammed down by social media to fucking love, if I look like that, that's okay, you know. For me, it was just a process of just understanding that everything that I see is fucking bullshit on social media. It's bullshit, you guys. Like, I will tell you, even the images that I feed you guys is crap. We are putting highlight reels of ourselves onto social media. My boyfriend is greatly responsible for me feeling happier and better and in a way better mental space with my health and everything, and understanding that healthy is not a certain size, healthy is not a certain waistline size, healthy is not a certain thigh gap or no thigh gap. It's just healthy. I came to understand that if I was meant to do any kind of modeling outside of boutique modeling, they would take me the way I was, because there were plenty of girls I saw that had similar body types to me that were able to do it. And so I knew that that was going to be possible for me in the future. I will say I am still on a weight loss journey, not because I want to get down to a specific size. I just want to be as healthy as I possibly can. Just the other day, I hadn't weighed myself since the last time I saw that I was like 125 or something. So I weighed myself yesterday and I was 137, and I remember I walked out of the bathroom and I told my boyfriend, like, oh great, I'm a whale again, I'm a 137. I caught myself saying those words and it was like, you have to be nicer to yourself. We have to be our own cheerleaders. We have to be nicer to ourselves. We have to understand that this is real life. You know, you get bloated, you put on weight. Sometimes it's muscle mass, sometimes it's fat, sometimes it's water. It's fucking real life, you guys. If you're gonna be trying to aim for this fitness thick, you know, kind of thing, don't try to form yourself into one certain type of, you know, fitness girl. I want to look like her. You're not going to look like her. You're gonna look like you. That's kind of my story. I do want to continue working on muscle growth. I'm just not going to be so focused on, you know, looking like Katya. I feel like a lot of models will go through this. I feel like I just finally went through it. Anybody that deals with like their image being their job. Not in a rush to lose a certain amount of weight. I'm okay with my short stubby legs. That's just me. That's how I am. That's how God made me, and we are literally going to just work with it. And I will be talking about that shortly later on. If you guys are dealing with any kind of body image issue, the best thing I can say is to unfollow pages that are really putting you in that bad place. I actually unfollowed a lot of the thick fitness girls because they were really making me feel like shit. I also unfollowed a lot of the thin model like girls because they were making me feel like shit. And for people that I personally knew that were in that kind of industry, I muted them because I didn't want them to, you know, think like, oh my god, freaking Kamrin, you know, she unfollowed me, I thought we were friends. Instagram is really it really is a personal thing, and it is suited to whatever you want to see, so you can control what you can see. I think this is the biggest thing that you can take away from this. Healthy is, and being a fitness expert or a trainer or anything does not mean that you fall into these two categories of, you know, thick girl and skinny girl. I feel like there's not enough representation for those in between. And some may not agree that I'm an in-between body type, some may, I don't know, I can't, I'm just gonna say I feel like I'm an in-between body type. But I feel like there's not enough representation of those girls, and we need to be better about that, and we need to understand that fitness, that you don't know, that it does, just because you don't fit into those two categories doesn't mean that you don't know what you're talking about. That's it. So yeah, that's gonna be it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe. I upload videos every Wednesday or Sunday, it depends whenever I get a video out, but normally there's a video out every week. And make sure to follow all my social media. It will be down in the description box down below. But I hope you guys enjoyed this, and it's always fun talking to you guys, so I will see you all next week. Bye. Making money like a mint, laying in my ice like shrimp, mint condition that